You go into hiding so you can beat your meat like a baboon. Back in the day, I was addicted to pornography. I would literally fap 3 times in the morning before even getting out of bed. And the only reason I'd stop at 3 was because my dick literally stopped working. I don't even think about pornography, lust, or even the act of masturbation. Maybe the thought sometimes comes into me when I'm not doing much in the day. But the things I want to be teaching you in this video is just beyond NoFap and all the things that don't actually work. All these gimmicky little stupid tactics like, oh, you get a website blocker on your phone and a little app blocker that turns off at like 9 p.m. So I don't, bro, none of these things work. So we're going to go over some literal proper stuff that's going to take a little bit of sacrifice on your end. But I promise by the end of it, when you hear out my story, you're going to no longer be addicted to pornography. Hopefully stop beating your meat like a little baboon. So NoFap is a stupid practice, and I'm telling you from experience as someone that did 200 days of NoFap. I promise you when I say that when I joined these Reddit communities when I was 21, 22 years old, and they were talking about NoFap, it was just so stupid that I carried it like a badge of honor, just like these people on Reddit. They literally have a badge on these NoFap Reddits where it says day 70 or like day 500 veteran, and everyone's just like literally like circle jerking themselves off like they've achieved something in life. I was that person. I would literally carve the days of how many times I've not fapped and literally brag about it to people. And this is not the way that you could even overcome your addictions. I've got a journal entry from 2021 that kind of just shows you the kind of Reddit nofap warrior that I was. So this was a few years ago. So it begins with, I've decided to make some lifestyle changes recently. After my previous writing, I just decided to start doing nofap, and I managed to abstain for 14 days until I busted a nut and relapsed. After this point, I failed after a few days too. Currently, I am on day 7, and holy fuck, it's not been too bad, and I have been productive throughout the 7 days. I wake up early every morning after a good night's rest, have a cold shower to shock my system for 30 seconds or so, do push ups and ab exercises, and do my work straight away. I smoked weed yesterday thinking it'd be fine, but it's made my mind go crazy. Had a few strokes too, but no more, nothing happened. So my dumbass just literally grabbed my shaft, stroked it a few times, and then did what I'm about to show you now. I prevented my mind from creating excuses to give up, and as a punishment, I have porn running on my phone in the background while I'm catching up on my university work. So stupid. But there's no reason you should ever take honor in the amount of days that you abstain and to to punish yourself. And a lot of you guys probably go through what I went through. Every time I'd relapse, I'd feel this immense guilt and I'd just feel dirty. And that's something that you don't want to be feeling like. Because when you're in that negative feedback loop, you can never really get out of it. And the way to do this is to live more. You need to do more stuff. You need to set goals that excites you, and you need to pursue these goals not in your bedroom where you're very likely to kind of fall under the temptation of fapping. So if I'm doing work, I'm not going to do work on in my room. I'm going to go to the library instead. If I'm going to be outside, I'm going to be working out in the calisthenics park, and I'm also going to be scripting these videos that you're watching right now while I'm outside on the swings. I'm just kind of chilling. And also, uninstall social media, man. Uninstall Instagram. I literally uninstalled Instagram for a month. I only reactivated it so I can add some people, but then I just uninstalled the app again. The only social media app I use is YouTube because that's sort of for like business purposes. And I know the first thing that you're thinking is, oh, I don't want to uninstall Instagram because I need to see my workout routine or cooking recipes or something. How much value is it really providing to you? This is something that I learned from Cal Newport in his book, Deep Work. He talks about something called the any benefits mindset. And it's when you're trying to quit a social media or something that doesn't value you, your business, your job. So like me doing YouTube, me being on Instagram at this moment in time where I'm trying to do my initial uploading, it brings no value to me. I'm not going to learn anything new on there. Same with you. If there's no value in your job or a career or a reason why you want to go on Instagram and to consume literal brain rot, which it kind of what that is most of the time, then don't have this any benefits mindset. That's how literally just a like not like a financially poor person, but how like a poor-minded person would approach using their technology. You don't want to fall under lust and temptations because Instagram's just full of that crap. Every time you go on your explore page and swipe by, it's like you pretend that the lustful things are not, oh, boobs. Like you pretend it's not there, but then you're scrolling and you see it, one thing leads to another, and you bust a nut. So uninstall Instagram, no exceptions. Now, the other reason why you're fapping like a baboon every single day is because your dopamine is fucked. So you've got what's called a dopamine baseline, and you're having these massive spikes whenever you spike your dopamine from like eating chocolate, a bad habit, you're smoking weed, and yep, it goes right up when you're watching pornography, and then you're fapping because your brain literally thinks from like a dopamine perspective, I've impregnated a woman. You are now a successful man. You've completed inbreeding. So your dopamine just completely gets screwed up and you're no longer sensitive to those novel experiences. That's why you can't focus on work. When your dopamine baseline is not going through these ridiculous spikes that you're probably used to, you can't focus on work and you can't do basic tasks because you've just given too much stimulation to your mind. That's why I'm telling you to uninstall social media, deactivate your accounts, and to also to just abstain a little bit from fapping, which will take some time. But you need to just it's like a whole lifestyle change. This is just more than not fapping anymore or masturbation. This is about a complete life redesign. You need to live that life as someone that is busy. You need to live that life as someone that seeks those more novel experiences. Like I read books. I don't do bad habits or play video games like I used to because these habits are bad. It's why I quit them. And if you've got habits like these, you need to completely remove them. Because when your dopamine is completely level and it's normal, then stuff like, eating a healthy diet, which is something I preach on this channel, not fapping, not doing drugs, smoking weed, going on your phone all the time. When your dopamine is not messed up and you're not having these massive spikes, like, did you know eating chocolate and masturbation, like, spikes your dopamine by 3x? When people climb mountains like Mount Everest, that's how much dopamine is released when you're pursuing something like that. It's just, there is an abundance of pleasure and just living this hedonistic life and chasing lust. It's just way too bad for us. So you need to kind of resensitize your brain again. Because right now, you've got the brain of a baboon. You can't live life like that. Like, do you want to be 30 years old? I'm not trying to guilt shame you, but and kind of like negative visualization here, but I kept telling myself like, man, like you could be 35 years old one day. You can't have too much guilt and shame because it takes years to undo the damage that you've done to yourself. Because most of us got into pornography and lust and masturbation when we were like 11, 12, maybe even younger years old. It takes years to undo this damage. Now, it won't take years for you to be a complete, like to completely abandon this habit. I genuinely do believe like 6 months to 1 year, if you take this advice I'm giving you, like this very simple advice, and you don't feel guilty whenever you fap, you just hop back on board, you don't count your NoFap streak, you're like a ship that's sailing. And just because you arrived at the wrong destination, you just correct course. No big deal. That's how you need to treat this journey of you overcoming this addiction. A lot of the red pill space, a lot of it is self-loathing mindset, and I feel like it's really damaging to have that Like, I know you feel dirty whenever you fap, and then you're kind of, you're grabbing your Kleenex or the tissue or whatever, and you're just like shamefully kind of wiping it away. I know that feels, you feel like a loser in that situation, but you can't talk to yourself badly. And I feel like a lot of like the red pill space of just like, oh, like you should be like, you should be perfect all the time. Like, no, like you need patience to undo this damage. It's not just snap your fingers and you're going to be different. But before you know it, long term, you'll eventually become that person, just like me, where you don't think about it. Because I don't put myself in situations like using Instagram and all the triggers that I know will cause me to eventually fap again. Now, twice a month, it could happen, yes, I'll admit. But just twice a month? That's what it's about. It's about that consistency. And when you're busy in life, you've got goals and other things to do, you won't have to worry about that. I'm trying to be a YouTuber. Maybe there's something that you want to be as well. And whatever that thing is, you need to make sure that you're doing a timetable. And I really recommend you get a timetable app, schedule everything, and make sure you stick to that. Even if it's not 100% consistent, you need a goal or something that you can strive for, something that excites you. Because like I never really found these like gimmicky habits of like getting, the app blockers or the website blockers, or like all these like little gimmicky habits never worked for me. For me, it was about getting into fitness more and to keep myself accountable by having friends in like calisthenics and having things to do outside that excite me, and setting goals in my fitness journey, setting goals on my business journey, reading books about the things that I'm doing, watching podcasts about creating YouTube videos. This is still relevant to quitting porn and masturbation, because when you are a man chasing goals, then you no longer have to worry about masturbating because you're busy, your mind's occupied. There's a really good comment on my YouTube channel from someone. I want to shout this guy out for what he said about overcoming that guilt, which is a temptation from Satan and kind of goes against biblical principles. So let me read you that comment. Man, you are speaking truth. It took me a long time for me to learn that guilt and shame are not how Jesus speaks to his children. I'll let anyone know reading this to remember that the devil's name literally means accuser. Satan uses guilt and shame against you. So if you feel like there's someone standing over you, pointing out all the things you did wrong, who does that sound like? That self-loathing mindset that guy on my channel commented is really what it's all about. It's a attack on it's a not it's a biblical attack from Satan. And when you read scripture more and you're kind of under God's presence more, and you're grounded spiritually by the Bible, and you genuinely ask for strength, like I promise, these like self-improvement habits that I'm telling you guys about meeting people, getting busy, and actually having a life where you're doing things outside, which you need to do, by the way, like that's still there. But number one is between your morning and nighttime. I struggle to sometimes read scripture because I'm in a busy period of my life where I'm trying to kind of make it on YouTube, and I'm trying to do all this stuff, and I'm very new to this. Maybe you're busy in life as well. And maybe you're going to make excuses to not do these habits, where I'm telling you to pray a little bit more and to read your book and to get grounded. But I promise you, even if you do just 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at nighttime, big change, big progress. You'll feel God's presence, and that will trump any futile human attempts to kind of overcome this addiction, if that makes sense. You can keep your life busy outside, but I'm telling you, it's like God is like an extra layer of protection, like a condom. Like, and I don't mean to speak ill, but when you have God's presence like that, when it comes to any addiction or any bad life decisions, you can kind of count on someone, and you have that faith. And Viktor Frankl kind of talks about it in this book, Man's Search for Meaning. It's a book about a bunch of people in a concentration camp, and he was a doctor as well. And they would literally die from a lack of hope because of the famine, starvation. But the guys that survived, they had hope. They believed. And that is a very extreme situation. But a lot of people take that book and they kind of apply it to the modern addictions and the modern challenges that me and you and young men are facing. And this is what it is exactly about. The struggle that you go through. If you're the kind of person that is just on self-improvement, like, my hat's off to you. But if you do it with God by your side, you're like a warrior of Christ, you will never fap like a baboon ever again. Now, if you're looking for a place of accountability, and you want to make that transformation, that body transformation, and that transformation to overcome your addictions of lust, weed, pornography, you're looking for a place of stewardship, then Project Descent is my community that I've created for you guys, us young men who are looking for that stewardship and that brotherhood. Like and subscribe to this channel and this video so this video gets promoted on the algorithm. Helps me out, helps you too. And watch this video that YouTube is suggesting, as it's what knows you best. Have a watch. And thank you for watching this video. See you later.